Peace, family. My name is Vicky Dillon for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Family, you all know that over the years I have been discussing South Africa. Yes, this girl from Mississippi that now lives in the Wild Wild West in the United States, as I like to say. I know some of you all for a time was wondering, who do I think I am by having these discussions on international issues? Well, when you're the original woman of the world, beloved, you get to chime in even if you are not plugged into some of these so-called elite geopolitical globalist groups. Talk like to me, somebody. Yes, yes, yes. The original woman was the one that guided the nations of the world long before them folks came and turned it into the mess that it is right now. Well, family, one of the things that I highlighted, notwithstanding, of course, some of the very serious and important issues domestically that takes place in South Africa, I've always emphasized long before South Africa became a major issue here in the United States over the past year or two, I was highlighting some of the workings behind the scenes of infiltration of Western agendas that were infiltrated even into the local politics there, the national politics, I should say, there, and how folks years ago was coming to the United States to get talking points to undermine their own parties and to cause certain policies, rules, and regulations to happen in South Africa. And perhaps a lot of South Africans had no idea that some of your own country folk, countrymen, were coming to this country to actually undermine your country here and strategizing to do just that and cause some of the major shifts with your political parties that you have seen take place in recent years. Well, family, I want to highlight something that took place a couple of years ago. Of course, I was discussing President Ramaphosa then. I was reminded of a clip that I saw recently on interrelated topics that I discussed related to your president when he reminded Europe about how they should be doing their accounting. Watch this.
And we must stop those countries that count their wealth and their assets in terms of the minerals that reside in the African soil, like they did in the past when they counted their wealth. They used to count their wealth in the number of slaves that they owned, that were taken from the African continent. Respect and mutual benefit should underpin what we as Africa do as we relate to other countries in the world. African countries should, as sovereign states, be able to also pursue their own independent foreign policy approaches that are not beholden to any other major global power or blocs.
Okay, family, did you see that? Now, I'm reminded of the fact that President Cyril Ramaphosa, he has a really strong former business career, right? My understanding is that he founded the Sanduka Group, which is an investment firm that had holdings like in mining and property, food and beverage. I believe he was the owner of a South African master franchise, I think, for a time in McDonald's, I believe. It says, based on some of the stuff that I saw, that he held positions with companies like MTN and Lehman and other, and was formerly the deputy executive chairman of the New Africa Investment. So he has a very strong, among other things, he has a very strong business and finance background. Yes. So when he speaks, I think it's pretty clear that he understands some of the inner workings of things. So I discussed some time back when he was here in the UN. In the UN, he called out the West for only focusing on some of the white business owners in South Africa. And like I said, that was some time back. But this was so interesting to me when he was just letting them know how they need to be doing their math. Like when you do your accounting and when you include your assets and liabilities, don't include Africa. Stolen. Somebody say stolen. You don't include theft. The stuff that you stole in terms of your bottom line and your wealth. And how many of y'all know we show sin very starkly what happens, like with France. Of course, this happens with so many others, but France, the situation that they're in right now, the moment that African nations kick their funny looking selves out, they're having a hell of a time making it. And so that's a lesson for us to keep in mind. And I'm wondering what you can glean from those particular comments. I also want you to know that some of you certainly feel like that perhaps President Ramaphosa, it extends too many niceties and comes off a little too humble before the powers that be. But trust and believe his niceties, as I call them, in diplomatic gestures, I believe are very strategic, and it is the very reason why the powers that shouldn't be are unrelenting, even when he seems to be extending, being too kind and making too many concessions. And maybe some of you all's opinion, of course, I can understand some of that, but I just want to remind you that clearly something he's doing is still a major power move, because they have been absolutely unrelenting as it relates to your president. And perhaps it's because he understands the behind the scene economic mechanics of things, and it's causing some very, very real shifts. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Speaking of economics and what's happening with global economic shifts, beloved, it's time for us to start tapping into our spiritual powers so that we're able to shape the economy. Yes, I'm a spiritualist, and I always teach about the principles that everything you see came from everything you can't see. That's the reason why no matter what culture, no matter what spiritual system, no matter what religious system you study, you find that there was some sort of spiritual person that was connected to the government, that particular tribe, or whatever form of governance that took place. They always consulted with someone that was spiritual. So we need to get back to some of that in order to remake the planet. One of the things I want to teach are some of those sacred principles that I have been given. I want to share with my men in particular. I have a 60-day course coming up for men only. It's called Treasures of Darkness. We're going to be emphasizing the spiritual principles for you to provide and protect for your household. So instead of complaining because you don't know how to create resources, I'm talking about spiritually speaking. I'm not there to give you no stock tips. I'm talking about spiritual stuff. Instead of complaining with other men about what you can and can't do for your families, beloved, just come get these sacred tips. Go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. For my women, I have a 90-day course, women's only, called Isis Goddess Mystery Temple. We're going to be talking about how we use our feminine energy and our feminine sacred secrets to not only change our world, but to change the world. Again, go to VickiPlanet.com. That's my website. I promise you, your life will never be the same. Beloved, be sure to share this broadcast, and I can't wait to see you again.